everyone, and welcome back to my TriPhysio YouTube channel. My name's Amanda, I'm a physio and I have a special interest in sport. Right now I'm doing a series on Pes Anserine rehabilitation. If you missed the first episode, please go back and look at this video, perform those exercises first, and then you can join us on the second session. These exercises aim to help people with Pes Anserine Syndrome, which is a very painful condition of your Pes Anserinus, which is in this area on the inside and just below your knee. The exercises in this video will be a little bit harder than the exercises in the last video. This is because we have to create an adaptation in our muscles to continue strengthening and improving. We will not create this adaptation if we are not constantly challenging our muscles by making the exercises harder. So good luck. Don't forget to make use of the outcome measurement tools that we mentioned in the other video. If you missed this, here's the link to the video. Outcome measurement tools are just really nice tools that help us to assess our progress along the way of rehabilitation and help you to see how much progress you are making each step of the way. To do this set of exercises, you'll be needing an exercise mat, a foam roller, a power band, and a mini band to complete all these exercises. Let's get going. The first exercises we are going to start with is going to be foam rolling your hamstrings, your adductors, and your quad muscles. To roll your hamstrings, you're going to place the foam roller under your hamstrings, prop yourself up with your hands, and you're going to roll up and down on your hamstrings. To add more weight onto one hamstring, cross one leg over the other and do the same thing of rolling up and down. You can roll more on the side, on the outside of your hamstring, or you can turn and roll more on the inside of your hamstring. To roll your adductor muscles, the muscles that run along the inside of your thigh, you're going to place the roller linear to you and perpendicular to your leg, and you're going to roll up and down along the inside of your thigh, all the way up to your groin and all the way back to your knee. If you find a particularly sore spot, you can hold it in that position and bend and straighten your knee. Your feet are pulling directly into that sore spot. To roll your quads, you're going to place the roller under you, prop yourself up on your other foot, and you're going to roll up and down on your quad muscle all the way from your hip down to your knee. And the same thing, if you find a particular area of tension, hold it on that spot and you're going to slowly bend and extend your knee like that. In that spot, find a different place, bend and extend again. You want to try and aim to do 10 rolls up and down on each muscle, and maybe do this 2 to 3 times before we start on our next drills. This next exercise is the progression of the cat and camel exercise, which we did last week. You'll remember that in the cat and camel exercise, we just arched our back upwards and then downwards. This time we're going to get full spinal flexion by pushing our bum back towards our heels. And then as you come forward, you're going to tuck your bum in, look up to the ceiling, drop your shoulders back, and push your hips down to the ground, feeling a nice stretch into the front of your hips. You're then going to push back, try and push your bum all the way back onto your heels. Hold in this position for 5, and then move forward. Squeeze your bum, drop your shoulders back, throw your head back to look up to the ceiling. Feel a nice stretch in the front of your hips. And you're going to repeat both of these 10 times. 1 repetition is backwards and forwards. You're going to do 2 sets of 10 repetitions. Our next exercise is called the 6-point hip crossover. And it's also a really nice exercise to introduce some mobility into the posterior capsule of your hip, as well as into getting some rotation into your lumbar spine. So you're going to stand, get into an all-fours position, or actually a 6 position because your feet are on the ground, and you're slowly going to try and drop your knees or your hips from side to side without too much movement happening in your upper body or without your arms bending. Keep your arms straight, and you're going to try and get the rotation and the movement from your spine to drop your bum side to side. And as you drop your bum down to the side like that, you should feel it stretching across the posterior capsule of your hip. Try and do 30 of these, 1 repetitions to each side. So you're going to do 30 repetitions in total. The next exercise is going to be a stretch for your lats. It's similar to the last set of exercises we did, what we call the 3-way prayer position. We're now just going to get into a complete spinal flexion position, and you're going to start with one hand out to the side, other hand on top of it, and you're going to hold in that position for 30 seconds, feeling a nice stretch down the right hand side. You're then going to move your hand over to the other side, and you'll feel it stretching all the way down the side of your lat on that side of your body. So you're going to stretch for 30 seconds in this position, 30 seconds in that position, and you're going to do that 3 times on each side. Now we're just going to hold a nice sustained hamstring stretch. We want to try and bias the stretch to your inside hamstring muscles. So all we're going to do is a normal hamstring stretch, but you're just going to twist your foot slightly inwards to get what we call tibial internal rotation. This just means that your inside hamstring muscle is going to be stretching a little bit more than the outside one. You're just going to you can take a towel or a rope, something simple, lie on your back, and you're going to place that around your foot. Okay, remember what we said about twisting the foot inwards, and you're going to pull that up towards you, keeping your knees straight, and we're just going to hold the sustained stretch position for 30 seconds. Every passive sustained stretch that you do, you want to aim to hold for 30 seconds and repeat it 3 times on each leg. Most people always just want to stretch the leg that's sore. I promise you it will do you good to stretch both sides. So you're going to do 30 seconds on the side and 30 seconds on the other side, and repeat that 3 times. In this exercise, we're going to be using your power band to do an exercise we call the hip floss. So you're going to place the band, your leg, into the band and put it right up towards your groin, making sure that you can feel the stretch of the band, pulling your hip backwards. Place your other leg forwards, and you're just going to tilt your pelvis forward by tucking your butt in and squeezing your glutes, feeling a nice stretch down the front of your leg, and then letting go. And then squeezing forward and letting go. And squeezing forward and letting go. From the side, and hold up like this, squeeze and let go. It's not going to be a whole sustained stretch. You're going to be moving in and out of this position in what we call a dynamic movement. So just squeezing and letting go. And we want to try and do this 30 times on the right and then 30 times on the left, and maybe you can do 2 sets of this. Make sure that you can feel your hips have loosened up nicely by the end and that they've unlocked a lot in the front. The next exercise is going to be a hold and sustain stretch for your quad muscles. So you want to get a surface about step height. This might be quite high for some of you, especially if your quads are really tight. You can maybe get a surface that's about half this height. But you're going to get yourself into the same position as the last exercise without the power band. And you're going to put your foot up onto the surface behind you and into that position. I want you to think the whole time about squeezing your bum. Stick a finger into your bum so that you can feel it harder when you squeeze your glutes. And as you squeeze and tilt your pelvis forward, you'll get a nice sustained stretch down the front of your quad. Try not to let your back arch or to lean forward. You want to think rather about tilting and tucking your pelvis in to feel that nice stretch down the front. Remember what I said about hold sustained stretches? You want to hold them for 30 seconds and you're going to do it 3 times on either side. Our next exercise is going to be a glute bridge. This is a really good exercise to help us get into a hip extension position, to get our glute maximus muscle working and a little bit into our hamstrings. So you're going to lie on your back, of people seem to battle with hamstring cramps in this exercise. So to avoid that, I want you to push into your heels and lift your feet up. You're going to tuck your bum into a posterior tilt, squeeze up as you lift your bum, and make sure you're not arching your back. You want to get that tilt, lift your bum, and hold that position for 2 seconds, and then slowly come down again. Our spine is broken up into lots of different segments for a reason. It's to be able to move at each and every segment. So as you tuck your bum in and you're rolling up, I want you to think about trying to roll through each and every level of your spine while still holding your pelvis in a posterior tilt. As you come down, you're going to lower through those same segments, that level first, then that level, then that level, then that level, then that level, all the way down. And I want you to do 3 sets of 10 of these controlled glute bridges. We're now getting back to the core strengthening part of our program and the other strengthening exercises. We're going to start with the core activation. Instead of doing the marching bridge this time, we're now going to do a core activation with single leg toe taps. So you're going to lie on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Find that core activation that we learned how to do last time. Hold it there, lift one knee to 90 and the other knee to 90. Keeping that core activation, you're slowly going to lower one toe down to touch the ground and back up. Make sure that as you lower that leg, your back doesn't follow an arch as though you can tuck your hand in there. That's why you're activating your core, because if you are, your back will be held nice and firm in that position without wanting to follow your leg as you lower. As you do this exercise, you'll feel a nice deep burn working in the lower abdominal area if you are doing it properly. So just make sure that your back is not arching. And you're going to do 20 in total, so it's 10 on each side. And let's start with 2 sets. Again, if you're not managing 2 sets, you can reduce it to 1 set until you feel you've got good enough control to progress it. If 2 sets is too easy for you and you need more of a workout, then just add a set until you feel that really deep burn in your lower abdominal area. The next exercise is going to be our progression of the clam exercise from last time. We're going to place our mini band around our knees, and you're going to get into a side lying position propped up on your elbow. Last time you'll remember we lifted the top knee up into the band. This time first you're going to push yourself up into a half pillar bridge, making sure your hips are nicely lifted, and you're going to perform this clam exercise in that position, making sure your hips are up, and you're going to be pushing that knee out into the band and back down, making sure that as you do that your hips don't drop or you don't roll your pelvis backwards. Keep it horizontal, and you're going to do 10 of these on each side, and you're going to do 2 sets of that. Always remember, no matter what exercise you're doing, you want to be keeping that nice deep core activation to provide your legs a stable base to work from. This exercise we call a hamstring slider. It is an eccentric lengthening exercise for the inside hamstring muscles. If you have a slider or a tiled surface, rather put a sock on to allow your foot to slide more easily. If you're on a carpeted surface and you get a piece of paper, place your foot on the piece of paper and that will allow it to slide easily along the surface. So you're going to find something like a door handle to hold onto. Your sore knee is going to be the grounded knee closest to the door. Your other foot is going to be placed on the slider. What you want to do is lock your knee at 10 degrees. And you, from here, you're going to shift your body weight all the way back from your hips, sliding all the way back, keeping that angle of knee flexion until you feel a stretch in your hamstrings. Then you're going to hold on and you're going to pull yourself back to normal. Unlock your knee, shuffle back onto your heel, shift your body weight back as your hips drop back so you feel a stretch in your hammy. Hold on and pull yourself back up. These eccentric exercises tend to leave people very stiff the day after doing the exercise, or sometimes even 2 days afterwards. So don't be surprised when you wake up and you've got very stiff hamstring muscles. Maybe try and only do 3 sets of 7 of this exercise to avoid too much stiffness in your hamstrings. We're now going to do an eccentric hip abductor exercise, which is also a lengthening exercise for your inside thigh muscles. If you watch the video on the outcome measurement tools that we use to compare our progress, you'll notice that this exercise is similar to the way that we check the length for your adductor muscles. We want to try and lengthen all these muscles here because it takes the compression off of your bursa. You also want to be able to get your foot to slide easily in this exercise, so it's best to take shoes off so it slides easily along the wall. And you're going to prop yourself up as close to the wall as you can. Get your hips up against the wall and you're going to be sliding one leg slowly down the wall. So get yourself as close to the wall as you can. Get your hips up against the door and you're going to slide your sore leg in a controlled manner over 10 seconds down towards the ground, making sure that as it drops out, you're not letting your opposing pelvis lift up and pull towards that leg that's being dropped. You want to keep that side down while you slowly slide this leg down towards the ground in a slow, controlled motion. You'll feel a really nice stretch down the inside of your thigh muscle. Then you're going to bend, pull back, and I want you to repeat this 7 times. Try and do it so that you're lowering over 10 seconds and developing the tension by the amount of time that you lower down for. Each time you might feel as your muscle loosens that you can go a little bit further, but don't compromise your pelvic position to get your foot closer to the floor. Keep that pelvis down and allow that foot to bend lower. We're now going to start the next exercise, which is a squat. It's going to be a very simple body weight squat. So to do a squat, you're going to get your feet about hip width distance apart. You want to make sure that your knees are always rotated outwards and that they don't drop inwards as you drop down into a squat. Hold your arms just in front of your chest and you're almost going to make an action as though you're sitting back onto a chair. Don't let your knees drop in. Keep it out and squeeze your bum back up. Drop down, you don't need to go past 90 degrees, and back up. From the side, it looks like this. Drop down, and back up. Drop down, don't try and lean forward, try and stay as upright as you can, and back up. Body weight squats are quite simple exercises. They're good for redeveloping the correct biomechanics, so I'd like you to try and do 3 sets of 10 repetitions of this exercise. This last exercise we call a star excursion balance exercise. Although it does challenge your balance, it also is really good for developing control in a single leg stance position. So you want to stand on your sore leg. Let's say that's your right leg, and you're going to point the shape of a star using your other leg. So you're going to touch your leg forward and bring it back, and then go diagonally forward and bring it back. And you're going to continue forming the shape of a star with your other leg until you are right behind you. The focus in this exercise is on this leg, your grounded leg. You want to control the position of your knee. People with Pes Anserine Bursitis have very poor hip abduction control. So generally when they're stepping forward like that, their knee dips right in. This is especially the case for women who have a much wider Q angle. That is just because of the position or the width of our pelvises being much wider, and generally makes your femur slant inwards a lot more. So women especially, you've got to be very cautious of this. As you are pushing that other leg forward, don't let your knee drop in. Picture a band around the outside of your knee pulling you in so that you have something to work out against. You're going to try and keep the center of your kneecap over your second toe, outwards, and you're going to bend into like a little single leg squat and come up. And you're doing all these little single leg squats for each point of the star that you are touching. I want you to do this on both legs, and you're going to do 5 repetitions on both legs. Good luck with all these exercises. I hope you are already starting to see changes. Please don't forget to hit that like button, consider subscribing to my channel, and watch out for that next video in this series. Take care and see you soon.